Hello everyone, welcome to 10 Things About... Can you see that? Put it towards the camera. Yeah. Blood Omen, Legacy of Kain. The first in a series of the Legacy of Kain stuff. Yeah. Weird, isn't it? Because it started off with Blood Omen, Legacy of Kain, and then just became Legacy of Kain, so on and so forth. Although there was a Blood Omen 2.
There was on GameCube, yeah.
How confusing is that then?
Decent game, actually.
Yeah, I remember playing it. Fuck, we'll go on a topic.
Yeah.
Blood Omen, Legacy of Kain, the original one that was released on like PS1 way back in the mid-90s. We got a flashback video about it as well, so you can kind of go there and see the dates, because I have written them down, but it's not for this, because this is 10 things we love about Blood Omen, to be followed by 10 things we hate. Now, pre-warn you, going to be a fuckload of crossover on this one specifically, because there's only so much you can properly say about a game like this, and it's probably going to amount to the same things. And even in the hate video, I suspect we'll have crossover again, but we'll get to that later.
For sure.
So, I'll begin with number one on mine, and again, you're probably going to have this one in some form. What an incredible fantasy story. There were very few vampire tales in gaming in that sense, and I think Blood Omen, Legacy of Kain, felt so huge and exciting. Like there was a massive world and a massive story. Yeah.
There is a magical operation of maximum importance. The initiation of a new aeon. When it becomes necessary to utter a word, the whole planet must be bathed in blood.
Call your dogs! They can feast on your corpses!
For failing the circle, Malek of the Sarafan, you are hereby damned. The pleasures of the flesh are no longer yours. You have but one purpose, damned warrior. You will serve us for eternity.
Yeah, I mean, that kind of ties into one of mine, which is just the mythology within the world. And
mythology,
the game. You know, specifically the concept I really like of the whole Pillars of Nosgoth concept. I think that's really cool, and what they represent. Yeah, and obviously this is quite going straight to the end of the game, but obviously in the end how Kain refuses to sacrifice himself to restore the corrupted pillars, which in turn dooms the land and has further ramifications going forth into the rest of the games in the series.
Yeah, we won't touch upon the I won't touch upon the ending too much, because that's something else for mine.
The mythos in the game is really like deep and interesting.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, from the point of getting dropped into it, it's already established. It's not like you're coming into this and you're establishing something. It's established. The world is established. The mythos of vampires and the existence is established. Your beginning is of a character and what this character is and will be and stuff. But even any story about his beginnings don't really come into play. It's more of birth of vampire. This already exists. Now go find your place, basically.
Yeah. You're dropped into this world full of like this mythology, and you just kind of have to just take it for what it is.
Yeah. Oh, you really do. And we'll get a little bit into that into another video, but yeah, very much so. Okay, so you had one then, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, then I'll just go through the next one. Having voiceovers, voice acting. So this was a highly impressive thing for us on a PlayStation 1. Although obviously a lot of games were kind of doing it. This might have been one of the earlier ones that kind of touched that, where every character, be them an NPC or someone not even that important, be it just a random character walking in town that if you killed would scream. Everyone had a voiceover. There was no, because even like games in Final Fantasy where they would have some people doing voices, and then some would be text and things like that. This was, everyone had a voice.
Yeah, I don't know. Can't think of other games that we might have played around that time that had like minor NPCs that were with voice actors.
Not one that of this budgetary, if that makes sense.
True,
like, we're not comparing it to say like some Metal Gear Solid or Resident Evil and stuff like that from the major companies. This came from Crystal Dynamics and Silicon Knights. So like, they
like you said, just encountering a random villager that has this fully like voice acted character was quite unique at the time.
It really was.
Also ties into one of mine, which is, of course, the voice acting in the game is of a decent quality.
I think most of it's top stuff.
And the guy that voices Kain, his name's Simon Templeman, and I think his performance is fantastic.
I awoke to the pain of a new existence, in a dank womb of darkness and decay.
Did you look into him? Look any deeper into him?
No,
that's a shame. I didn't either. I didn't know his name, so I was wondering if you looked into him and wondered if he did what other voiceovers.
His name was, but I'm not sure what else he did. But yeah, I just think his performance in the game is really memorable.
Yeah, I think it's a good performance. Yeah.
The way he delivers the lines is almost as if he's reading poetry, which is the game. It's got that kind of feel to it. It's got like a poetry type feel to it.
Yeah, he's a very melodramatic character in that sense. He's always got an opinion or something to say, be it particularly about being a vampire. Well, again, we'll get onto that in another video.
I love his voice.
Okay, go on. You can do one now then.
All right, kind of obvious one, but I really like the opening section of the game where you play as human Kain.
Okay.
Because you're kind of, the whole scene where you're cast out of the tavern. It's a really unique opening because the character you play as almost immediately dies, which is different. I can't think of another game that did that.
Yeah.
And you have to try and fight off the guards, but when you first play it, you think maybe you have a fighting chance, and you can keep fighting them, and I think you can survive for a decent amount of time, but inevitably you die.
That's him!
Save Victor!
End it! Now!
And you'll probably think that you failed in some way, like, you're going to have to start again, replay or something, but no, that's obviously a part of the story. I think that's a really interesting opening.
I agree, actually. It's not part of mine on this, but that opening, I remember like going back and replaying it several times. It'd be like a challenge to see how many guards you could take down, because I think Kain can only take like 2 or 3 hits. I played it recently.
It's realistic because you're just a human, and it shows the contrast between how powerful he becomes as Kain, the vampire.
Yeah.
Because of how much abuse he can take. And it's, like I said, it's realistic because he takes a few swipes of a sword and he falls,
Yeah, and he doesn't, I remember as well as a human, he doesn't have his sort of combo sword. So, like, when you swing a sword as a human Kain, it's one, and that's it, and then you've got to kind of go again, whereas when he's a vampire, you can do that and then swipe it back, so you can catch him on the upswing, whereas you can't as a human, because obviously he's weaker. Yeah, it's cool. Alright, well, mine again, a bit more specific here then. The blood-sucking mechanic. And, while it's cool overall, like the whole sucking blood from distance, the noise it makes and all that, one thing that I particularly loved...
I'll just say that my point on my list is about the blood sucking, and all I wrote literally is that the blood sucking is cool.
Yeah.
Because that's what I wrote, but go on.
No, yeah, you're absolutely right, but there was one mechanic about it I really liked. If you were sucking someone's blood and got hit, the blood droplets would spin around you, like they would spin around you until they eventually found their way to you.
Yeah.
That's quite clever.
That's really clever they added that in, because that would happen, If you're like sucking someone's blood and then you get knocked to the side, the blood's going to go everywhere. But I like that it goes into some like crazy windstorm.
That's right, yeah.
But still finds its way into like his mouth.
Yeah, and it used to be a lot of fun to like, you'd have like 4 people lined up at once, 4 and sucking the bloods at once, and they're all coming in, and that sound effect, that actually sucking sound effect.
Yeah,
it's cool.
I can hear it right now.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Alright, my next one is simply that I just love the overall aesthetic of the game.
Okay.
Because at the time, and even now, there are not many truly gothic video games. And I think really cool aesthetic.
Yeah, I think the series overall kind of kept that as well, but definitely it's one of those, it feels like it could be our world of a certain time period, but then still has fantastical elements.
It's set in that sort of medieval period, isn't it?
Yes, yeah.
So that kind of like adds to the whole gothic feel of it with all the stone castles and all that sort of thing, but...
No, I didn't have that one. See, we're actually not doubling up that much. Yeah,
Yeah.
you're right, yeah. Specific again, killing someone in their bed, right? Kill them in the bed, be it just suck the blood straight away, hit them with a sword. An imprint would be left, a dent in the pillow.
Yeah.
Little touches like that, they're very cool. It's a little touch, and I used to always like it. I always thought it was really horrible, like, because that's what it is, vampires sneaking into your room, you're asleep, and then he sucks your blood, and they fade away, and then there's just an imprint.
It's true, it's interesting.
Yeah.
That they added that in.
Yeah.
For sure, that's cool. Alright, my next one is... just simply put, I don't think there are many truly great vampire games out there.
Yeah.
But I do think that this is one of them. I think it may be the greatest game potentially based on vampires. Potentially.
That's a bold claim.
Think of a better one.
Well, modern day I can, or ones that are good, very good. But I would trying to think of something vampire other than Castlevania, but like that's so different in the scale. I can't think of anything vampire related. Even on the PlayStation 1, vampires. No, it does. They're not something that lends themselves well.
Of that era, I would say, at least. Anyway.
Oh, of that era, yeah.
I mean,
because let's be honest, we'll say it now. Soul Reaver, does it count as a vampire game in the same vein?
In a way, but not in the same.
Not in the same, no. Yeah. I think you're right. It's a great one. Yeah. Okay. Well, you touched upon this at the start, but you talked about the finale, and you talked about Kain refusing to give up, but. Like, if you don't know, that actually was not something you didn't have to have that ending if you didn't want to. It had a choice of endings. There were two. It's something that wasn't needed, considering one would be canon anyway, which was Kain choosing to not save the pillars. That's why I didn't bother
to mention it, because obviously we know which one is canon in the end anyway.
But the fact that they even bothered to have a choice there, like they gave you a choice, and didn't have to. One soppy, he gives his life and saves the pillars, and Nosgoth move on happy and so on. But one, like you said, is to I think reflected the character you played as, because I think mostly, regardless of Kain's issues and the fact that he didn't really choose to be a vampire, well, he did. He had a choice. It was just an unfortunate time when he was given that choice. I thought the guy's a dick, and he would become a major dick. So that ending being the canon one is great. But we got a choice, and we didn't have to. In a game that big, who would have complained that we just had the whole not save the pillars ending?
Of course.
Yeah.
I mean, throughout the game, Kain is more of an anti-hero than a hero. He's kind of like begrudgingly doing these things, these acts that almost accidentally turn out to be good. You know, they're not necessarily intentional.
He's not a hero. He's not a good man.
So you can see he's headed in that direction. So I think that the evil ending, as it were, does make some sense. But it was nice to have that choice in there.
Oh yeah.
Because again, many games at the time that gave you that kind of choice-based ending. People rave about it these days, but again, on the PS1 era, doing that is quite.
People now would be like, well, the choices don't matter up until the end, and it's just pressing A or B.
There's similar games that do the same thing these days, like in Metro, for example, where you make one of two choices again, and then they choose a canon and ending
anyway. You're right. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, so...
I am the last pillar, the only survivor of the Circle of Nine. At my whim, the world will be healed or damned. At my whim.
Yeah, so that's a good point. My next one is, the soundtrack in the game I think is really important when talking about the tone of the game again, the gothic style.
Yeah.
I think it really suits that whole dark, sort of drab, depressing mood of the game. Yeah.
I haven't got funny enough, I downloaded the soundtrack in this.
That's crazy. I think every time we've done, we both have said
I had soundtrack. Yeah, funny enough, as you're saying, I'm like, why didn't I put it in there? But no, but you're right. In fact, there's one that I always remember, like specifically, because a lot of it sometimes will be not forgettable, but you won't remember because there's quite a bit. But Kain's Awakening, that soundtrack, that's fucking great. Yeah.
It's not the sort of thing you'd put on to I don't know.
Drive to.
Yeah. It's depressing. Maybe you're organising a funeral, but...
Yeah, but you're right, it nails that gothic theme very, very well. okay, mine's quite simply. Now, it's weird, when I wrote this one down, I actually second-guessed myself because we become so used to this thing in the sequel, and it's not that good in the sequel. Whereas it's the Soul Reaver. Now, the Soul Reaver weapon itself in Legacy of Kain Soul Reaver is muted, not as good. It's just a cool weapon to have. The Soul Reaver, when you get it in Blood Omen, that thing is a fucking beast. You hit someone and they explode into body parts.
You can see why they waited till late end game time to give it to you.
That
because you just would just wipe through everybody, wouldn't you? Yeah,
it's a beast of a weapon. It's cool as fuck.
Yeah, I mean it's worth the wait kind of thing.
Yeah,
like, all the build up towards it delivers.
Yeah,
it's a cool weapon. All right, my next one is I really like the huge amount of weaponry, clothing, and magic. All the transformations at your disposal as Kain as well. That's a lot of cool added stuff. Silicon Knights, the developer, they really went all out, I thought. Yeah,
I got it kind of. I've got some of the weapons, and ones I was thinking of were not so much spells or the transformations, but the kind of bonus ones you pick up that you could shoot out and would do certain different things. There's one that would send them, turn them into green goop, but it was one specific that would rip the skin off an enemy, and then their corpse, skinless corpse, would fall down. That detail, love it. But you're right. Again, considering it's all sword based. Combat and blood sucking, you probably didn't need to then chuck in. You could have added the magic bits, but you didn't need to chuck in these bonus things.
Of course, it's all this added stuff.
Yeah,
it's really cool, and you can turn into a werewolf. You can turn into a bat.
Mist to walk through as well. These are all unlocked later games, so it's like there's good variety for you backtracking. So you'd unlock the mist carrot that could move through grates and certain walls. Yeah. So there would have been dungeons and areas at the beginning of the game that you couldn't access certain things, so you could now go back and do that.
There's even a fast travel system as well.
There is, yeah.
Again, is pretty cool.
Although having to watch the same cutscene. Although, credit to them, each cutscene for the bat moving around relates to where you're going, so it's different in that sense.
And that animation of, Kain disintegrating into this flock of bats, it's really cool.
It is. Yeah. Okay, I've got 3 more. We doubled up on that one, so I'll go now while you're looking and thinking about it.
Okay.
A wide variety of enemies. The game has a surprising wide array of enemies. Now, a lot of them are just basic swordsmen and stuff like that, but their outfits are different. And, for example, you'll be fighting guards, you'll be fighting bandits, you'll be fighting circus performers, ones that are gypsies, that kind of thing.
Oh, yeah.
Then you'll be fighting more skeletons, you'll be fighting werewolves as well, and dogs and stuff like that. Obviously, the bosses are quite varied as well. Then you go to the swampy area of Order's Mansion, and there's different things there.
Yeah.
A lot of enemies, different enemies,
Yeah, did a good job with the variety of enemies for sure.
Yeah.
I think I might have just clashed on so many that I might be basically done now, but
okay.
I've got one more that I didn't mention what I've written down, but I'll just say anyway. It's to do with the blood sucking, and I'll just say again that I think the blood sucking mechanic is really cool in the game. Just standing 2 feet away from a body, and watching the blood get pulled towards Kain and the stream of red, it just never failed to satisfy.
It always does. It's one of those most satisfying things. So you're out now, yeah?
I'm done.
Right. Yeah. Well, my last two are really short ones, straightforward. This is tied up into attention to detail again, but having lewd pictures on the walls in the brothels. Now, if you know the game, there's one with a lady's backside. There's one might be topless.
You spent a lot of time in there, didn't you?
Well, there's a lot of brothels. But yeah, lewd pictures in the brothels. Attention to detail. And it's PS1 graphics, so you're not making out anything great.
Yeah, it's pixelated.
But yeah, it's kind of like...
But in those days, man, it was good.
Yeah, it was great shit, And last but not least, it's basically my favourite location, which is Korhagen. Do you know...
That's a cool name, isn't it?
Yeah, do you remember why I'd mentioned Korhagen specifically?
Is that where there's like a plague?
Plague, yes.
Plague, yeah.
The Plague City. Yeah. It's probably the most horrible place to go. The piled up bodies, closed down doors and stuff like that. It's it's later on in the game as well, because the guards will attack you. You've got to transform to be human. Human transformation to move around there. I just love the visuals of the Plague. The NPC, dead NPCs and stuff, they've got like green skin and like bubbles on their bodies and stuff like that.
It's just horrible time, man. I don't blame Kain for being such a moody prick.
Yeah.
It's just awful.
Well, we'll go on to that. Yeah. There you go. There's our 10 things we love about Blood Omen Legacy of Kain. Of course, make sure you check out the 10 things we hate about it and all the other content. Yep, and hit that like and subscribe button.
Check out the game if you've never played it before.
Yeah, do. Easy. eBay or whatever. Yeah.
Ve Victus. You gotta say that. That's my Blood Omen here.
Yeah,
that's like the most famous line from the game.
It just made me laugh. Yeah.